Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in again. We are so sorry for the delay. However, we faced a few issues before we started the panel. So my name is Hadi Atteli. I'm going to be the moderator for the current panel. Again, thank you for tuning in for our third panel of the day. I am working with Launch6B, and we are the main organizing, we're one of the main organizing teams for the current event here today. So our current panel is going to be talking about marketing, branding, and content creation. So to all the new and upcoming artists, aspiring entrepreneurs within the music industry, or any industry really, buckle up, you're about to get advice from industry experts. So I'm here today with James, CEO and co-founder of JS Entertainment, Robyn, co-founder and managing director for Chedid, Saber, Ghaith, founder of VVIP, and finally Mazzi, Behi, marketeer and Def Jam Recordings. All right, so if we may take a brief moment to get an introduction from each of yourselves. Please go ahead, starting with James.
I'd like to start off by thanking you for having me on your panel. It's a big honor to be here. My name is James. As I was introduced, I run JS Entertainment. I've been in the UAE running theme-based events for 6 years now. And my specialty is basically bringing a concept or theme to life and having my audience and my guests come in and experience something different and theme-based here in the UAE. So that's part of what my company is all about.
Hi all, my name is Robyn. I am co-founder of Chedid, which is a business and marketing consulting agency. So we work with corporations, but most importantly, individuals that want to learn how to brand themselves, discover the magic within, and how do they then speak to their emerging audiences.
My name is Saber. I'm the founder and CEO of VVIP. We are like an entertainment and media company, so we're covering the entertainment news here in the region, Dubai. I personally have 10 years experience in the music industry, so we work with a lot of growing artists here in the regions, and we understanding so well how the music really work. I think this is something good opportunity for everyone to be here and helping other artists in the region to grow up. So we really want to kind of sharing more ideas how we can push it forward.
Hey, what's up? Which camera am I looking in, by the way? This one right here? All right. What's up? My name is Mazzi. I'm from Def Jam Records, New York City. I do radio promotions and lifestyle marketing. And put it briefly, I'm probably the reason your favorite record is your favorite record.
Nice introduction. It's very nice to have you guys again. Is the mic working? No?
Yes, testing.
Great, great. It's very nice to have you here again. It's really an honor to have you guys. Hopefully all the viewers will be benefited today from our session here. So we're going to move on into questions without further ado. Starting with, of course, each of you have great expertise when it comes to marketing, branding, and content creation. So we'd like to really stress on that fact and ask, can you tell us what are the very first aspects to consider for branding and marketing a new emerging talent, or be it artist or entrepreneur really? Or emerging startup?
Okay, well, I can start off. For my company and my vision is, I think when you're first starting out, you need to have a long-term vision of where your company or where you want to be at 2, 3, 4 years down the line. Because how you initiate and how people view or perceive your vision is important in the beginning. Because as you grow and as you learn and as you branch out, people need to see your vision and be able to feel your vision of what you expect and what your long-term goals are. So for me, my vision is always to bring something different and bring a theme to the market. So when people come to my events, they expect to have a different experience, have a theme-based experience. And I think that's helped me grow here in the UAE, because from the beginning, that's always what I've pushed. And so when my guests come to an event, they expect something different, a different experience than where they're going to get anywhere else. And that's what I've kind of cultivated over the years with my brand.
Thank you very much, James.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, it is obviously talking about your long-term goals, where you want to be. One of the important factors that we see with personal branding is self-discovery. You know, people don't know where to start. People don't know what is their magic. So we talk a lot with them to kind of discover that. Because when you ask people, you know, how do you differentiate yourself from others, they're a little bit stuck and they go into a comparison. So we get people to take a little bit of a step back and go, no, I want to know why you're different. So it's kind of going back into your roots, because no individual out here is the same. So starting that journey within, and then you talk about how do I communicate that with audiences? How do I differentiate myself? Who are my competitors and what can I offer that's different? And most importantly, you're a solution provider. So you look at how can you identify a problem within your audience and then create a solution, and that's how you connect.
I think, as you mentioned, guys, very important. Like right now, music and artists is more as an entrepreneur and more as a team. So the first challenge we see it like when we are working with the artists, like every artist focusing so much on music, beyond the business side. So we are really like helping artists to tell them story and helping them how they can really like working in terms of like events, because there is a lot of things to be done offline beyond the online world. So I see there is a lot of misunderstanding between the offline and the online world. So there is not only just like social media for artists and followers and only stream numbers. There is a lot of things to be done in offline world. And this is a thing where we see there is a lot of focus should be done, and there is a lot of things to be improved in terms of collaborations. There is a lot of good talented producers, a lot of songwriters, a lot of new market could be done. And I think right now in the next 5 years should be more into collaborations and exchanging market, because no more only like music for just like geographic location, is more into international. And this is where we really like helping artists to kind of tell them story, and we empower them to go global.
I think the sister right here, she touched on it in the right way. She said self-discovery. I feel like people nowadays, they are attracted to authenticity. The days of putting on a crazy, outlandish image is kind of not what's up. And there's a market for anything you do. Just, everybody has their own niche. You just gotta, there's a market for chocolate-covered ants, so like, just find that niche, find what you're about, and you capitalize and expand on it. We don't have to put on, artists don't have to put on that image anymore. Just have to expand on what they already have and who they already are.
Thank you very much, guys. That's very beneficial, actually. Our next question is actually a very important question, especially for new upcoming entrepreneurs, whether it be it in the music industry or outside. And that's about limited budgets. So a lot of entrepreneurs actually, of course, at the end of the day, it all depends on your idea, but a lot of entrepreneurs think you need a massive budget to start your idea. So the question is, what is an emerging talent's best PR marketing approaches? And may you refer any reliable service providers who can support upcoming talents throughout their journey?
I can answer that. I get this question actually a lot with individuals or even corporations saying, we don't have money, we don't have enough money, it's too expensive. And that's actually the first thing they're doing wrong. They're looking at it as an expense. It's not an expense, it's an investment. So if I ever mention any costings, I go, this is the cost for you to invest. So it's changing your perspective on what it costs for you to invest. So that's number one. Number two, it's very important to not necessarily leverage, but add value to your existing network, and vice versa. You are exposed to a massive network out there, especially in the UAE, and if you're not capitalizing on it, you're doing something wrong, and that is free. Kindness is free, helping others is free, and I'm sure if you help someone, they would definitely support you in doing anything and helping you grow within your own business or individually.
I think when we're talking about budget, it's like kind of too early for artists to talk about budget, because the first question when you're talking about artists, is it like you are a full-time artist, like a part-time artist, or just kind of like, I'm trying? Because if you want to talk about budget, now with the internet, you can create music. You can reach out to people, send me some music, you can really do a lot of things without budget, because I think the budget could be done to expand an existing asset of artists. But I don't think that should be the first thing before starting. It's like every artist should be first kind of like test his music, creating a music, create, getting feedback, and at the same time looking for asset to expand. At the same time, as any artist, I think the first thing should be focused. I need to be in front of live audience. It can be small stage, it can be open mic night. It should be more on to be visible, not just only get in touch with the online world.
So growing yourself in talent before you move on to think about budgets.
So I've worked with artists that have had $500 budgets to artists that have over $1 million in it for their budget. Yes, budget money always helps, but you know, I've also seen artists with $1 million budgets blow it, you know, and then people with $500 maximize it. So the main thing is investment. You have to look at it as you're investing in yourself for sure. And then second of all, to utilize every little bit of that money, and I'm referring to the ones that are closer to the $500 budget, is do your homework. Do your homework. Learn the shortcuts. Learn ways you could save money and not necessarily cut corners, but work smarter rather than work harder.
And I would like to kind of piggyback on what you were just saying. I don't manage artists or anything like that, but when you're doing events or whatever you're putting your marketing budget to, it's always key to maximize every dollar. I think that's key, whatever your budget is, to maximize. And the second thing I think is very important is for people to feel your passion, to feel your energy wherever you go, whenever you're talking about your vision, whenever you're hosting an event, they need to feel that energy because it's palpable. Like, people know when they feel an energy and a vibe, whether they're in a club, whether they're seeing a performance from an artist, they feel your passion, they feel your energy, and it translates. It translates into fans, it translates into social media, it translates offline. Whenever you're around people and they see your vision or they feel your vision and it's passionate and that energy transfers to them, I just feel like it's magical, in my opinion.
Of course. So let's focus on UAE. So what do you guys think is unique about UAE that has to do with helping support branding and marketing and content creation for new and upcoming artists?
Okay, I think the UAE is like the most promising market right now for any music, and we see it so far. Like, there is no artist not coming to the UAE so far. Like, all artists come, majors, can be like music, can be act shows, everything coming into the city. I think the UAE helping so much, empowering the music voice internationally, and I think the kind of local artists should be benefit from that exposure and trying to be more visible to the events organizer or any activity here to be part of that celebration of music. Because right now, there is like a lot of artists, but I feel like there is more into kind of need to be collective of artists or kind of community of artists, you know, because it's not anymore we are in the era of just artists work by himself. It should be more as like a movement. That way we can really helping this artist to be more visible, and there is a lot of stage that can be refilled right now here in the UAE.
Exactly what he said.
Thank you.
I would also add to that, I think we're in the perfect storm because I think the culture is just, the musical culture in the UAE is just now being created. New artists could change or shift the culture here with whatever vision or whatever passion they have here because it's such a new market here. And I just think that's something that artists can tap into, and event organizers can tap into as well because it's such a new market. That's my vision.
So you guys have mentioned earlier that an artist needs to focus on themselves and growing themselves before actually looking at budgets. So a lot of artists these days focus on social media, their personal websites. So regarding that point, where do you think an artist should best showcase their art? Personal websites across multiple social media platforms?
So people are concentrating so much on the channel and they're forgetting where the audiences are. Is my audience on Instagram? Is my audience on TikTok? Is my audience on YouTube? I get that question a lot. Shouldn't I be on TikTok? It's so new, it's so fresh. I'm like, yeah, but is your audience there? Don't put energy to where your audience isn't. And you need to look at everything as a touch point. It's a journey, right? So if someone lands on a website or lands on your Instagram or lands on your YouTube, a lot of the time I see people on Instagram promoting, oh, check out my YouTube or check out my Facebook. They're on your Instagram. Keep them engaged on your Instagram. They're active on that platform. So you're recruiting an active user. You should be recruiting new users on different platforms. So absolutely, it goes back to my point. Know your audience. Find out who your audience is. Go into, once again, a self-discovery. What are your values? What is it that you want to resonate with your consumer or your audience? And then from then you look at a plan of attack. These are the channels that I need to be present on.
And what do you think the best way is to find your audience? How can I, as an artist, for example, find the best suited audience within whatever platform?
It's twofold. Sometimes we see that it is a testing. Sometimes you might think that your audience is catered to someone else, and then all of a sudden, a 50-year-old man is listening to it, right? So you don't really know. The consumer behaviours change so fast. What people liked a week ago, people will change next week. So it always needs to be relative. It always needs to be timely. I'm a big fan of testing. You don't know, but you'll know what it connects with, and you'll know what values or whatever it is that you're trying to put out to your audience, or what emotion you're trying to elicit from your audience. So then you'll know, okay, this is my range or my target audience. So I will, my first step is let's target these audiences. Where are they present?
And it's better nowadays because before it was just radio campaign, the streets, album. You only had really the radio and maybe the streets. Now you have so many weapons of choice, and you don't know where it's gonna fall. Like Bobby Schmurder came from Vine, Justin Bieber came from YouTube. It's like, so there's artists I know that came from SoundCloud. So it depends. Whatever your weapon of choice happens to be, and sometimes it falls in your lap. You utilize that and ultimately maximize on whoever's listening to you, and just keep building off that and create a snowball effect.
I think when we're talking about our audience, you mentioned a question about the audience for artists, how to find the audience. I think every artist right now is an entrepreneur and should be really understanding the market, because there is a lot of data, there is a lot of report can be find it everywhere for free, and understanding what is the actually market numbers. Because if you are creating, let's say, like Japanese music, maybe UAE is not the right market for you. So you should actually understanding the data. And I see so much like artists getting kind of buzzing a little bit in terms of like music, like I say, like social media and stuff, but instead of maintaining the things, because music is not about going to the top, it's about maintaining to be in the top, because it's very hard competition. So it's not just like, hey, this my song have 500,000 views on YouTube, that's it, I need now to rest. No, actually you need to work hard. And I think if every artist pushing in term being really visible, I think you can reach out to any festival around the world and say, hey, this is my music, I'm gonna be coming singing for free. I think no one can say no. They will send them ticket and hotel and going to different stages and performance. I don't see much from this part. I think everyone want to get paid just by having song on SoundCloud, which is not enough to be really being an artist. There is a lot of hard work to be done, and when people, or let's call it the brand, or anyone seeing that kind of hard work in an artist, everyone will be investing in this artist.
It's actually interesting, it's actually interesting that you've mentioned competition, because this is a great way for us to transition into our next question, which is, how do you see it best to deal with competition and cut through this social clutter? I really think this is a really tough challenge for all the new upcoming artists, whether be it entrepreneurs in a business or as an artist. Market is saturated everywhere. How do you think you can cut through that competition?
Well, from my opinion, I think you should be more focused on yourself and what's unique to your audience and what's your vision for what you're trying to put out there. A lot of times, if you get sidetracked or focused on what somebody else is doing, you'll lose track of your own personal vision and what you want to put out there. And I think that waters down or dilutes your vision and what you're trying to put out there. So I just think if you focus and work hard and stay passionate about what your vision is, and you don't give up on it and you keep working, I think you'll cut through.
The beauty of it all is now that there's so many microcosms, you can go to any given show. And I went to a show last week in New York. I never heard of this artist. She was on tour. I forgot her name. She was on tour. Everybody was singing her songs word for word. So it's like you can find your lane and capitalize in it. But if you have immediate competition, my advice is learn what not to do. Learn from their mistakes. Okay, they did ABC, but they forgot X, Y, and Z. So let me make sure I learn ABC and then do the X, Y, Z they didn't do. So that's how you can deal with your competition if you have that immediate direct one.
talking about competition, right? I think competition is very exciting things. We should not really see it as a negative thing, because when you're talking about competitions, like there is many aspects of competitions. There is online competition, which is the easy thing that everyone go for, which is followers, stream numbers, and everything. But there is other competition, which is not really tough as online competition, which is, as I mentioned before, live events. Artists need to be live, need to go to audience, because when you go to promoter that he want to book an artist, he don't really go by how much follower he have social media. He need to go by how many people he can bring to your event. And if you really have maintained that relationship, having phone numbers, having like mobile contact, and have that close relationship, and say, I'm gonna be performing in some certain venue, maybe just for 100 people, but you succeed to bring people to your event, that's something beyond competition, because that thing can be scaled and can be really grow with more activities. But if you're really focusing only about like online competitions, maybe number will be scary you, because there is 1 million artists around the world. And to be from 0 to go top 1, I think it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort.
Robyn, can we get your insight on that, please?
Oh, I think these guys summarized it really well. So yeah, it is actually very spot on in terms of, you know, identifying why are they your competition? You know, sticking to your lane, doing what's unique to you, defining actually what is competition. Why do you feel that they're a threat? You know, when you use the word competition, it's in a negative space. Or are you threatened by something? Are you envious of what they have? When you shouldn't be, because every single individual in this world is different. You cannot, the story, there's no copy-paste in this world. So it's kind of, once again, stepping back and, as I mentioned before, going through that self-discovery and say, okay, how do I distinguish myself from the world, rather than looking at certain individuals or certain groups or whatever it is that you feel you're threatened by, because I think that can really clutter your content creation. It can cloud your judgment. You might see them as a competition, but no one else might. So I think, yeah, you need to just take a step back and stop feeling threatened, and look at it negatively, and just be you and do you, and whatever comes from it, I'm sure positive things will come your way.
Thank you very much, guys. So, bringing us back to the point of platforms, what platform do you think an artist or entrepreneur should be active on? And what practical advice can you give them to start their own marketing and social platform, platforms and activate them?
I would say that I think everybody's looking for a blueprint, that this is the only way that you can get from point A to point E, but everybody has a unique audience and a unique creativity. So I would say it's all about trial and error. You have to find your audience and where they're at, and where do they like you at. One artist might be hot on Instagram, the other one might be YouTube, the next one might be TikTok. It's your job to find where your audience is and where you can connect with them.
I think if you want to talk about platform for artists, there is no any louder platform than stage. Because social media, I'm really like kind of believer in social media, but nowadays it's very tough. So if you're really getting so much romantic in being social media and forgetting about artists gonna be on stage, that's gonna be a really big problem. So I really advise every artist to focus so much to be live and being visible than just social media, because when you have really visibility and going to market and go to different city, go even to Asia, go to US, there is a lot of kind of like emerging festival that's really looking for talent that have small audience, you know, and that way can be converting that existing audience as a fan. Instead of going online and getting too much like exciting or like and comment and numbers of views, it's so kind of unrealistic. And I say again, if you're really artist, you need to have a team. That's number one. So there is no artist by himself. There is no artist, I have a manager, talk to my manager. There is no have time to talk to your manager, because in the end of the day, people looking so much onto kind of like the framework. Oh, I need a manager, I need this, I need that. But no one looking for being realistic and going by, like reach out to people, hey, I want to be performed, because there is a lot of space to be performed. There is a lot of festival, there is a lot of kind of stage need to be refilled. But that's going to be number one stage for any followers. So there is no platform to be online. So online is like everybody used. We need to push more onto being live in the stage.
I think you're absolutely right. Sometimes we got to keep it and bring it back to the basics, you know. And a lot of these artists, they might have 1 million followers, but they suck live. You know, they're just doing karaoke. They're just rapping or singing over their tracks, which to me, if I'm paying for a concert, I don't want to see you singing or rapping over your own track. Like, I want to just get my money back. Or, you know, I'm angry. So they need to learn how to perform. So the basics are always important. But as far as social media, I think just be on them all. Who cares? Just be on them all. You never know, something might pop off. Like, I'm just learning about Patreon and Triller and all these other ones. Who cares? Just sign up. Be there, you know what I'm saying? Dabble, learn, mess with it a little bit. See what's up, might pop off for you. But that live aspect, bro, so forgotten. And that's the backbone of an artist, you know what I mean? So I agree with you.
So elaborating further on live performances, first thing that comes off to mind is open mics. Do you have any other places or suggestions that an artist can actually go and perform on?
I will add just one point to he mentioned is very important. Like, yes, everyone artist is really good online, on YouTube, on music video, because everything is just like pre-productions. So people seeing only like fine, very fine product, nice music video. But when you're putting artists on a stage, this is the first question I ask every artist that wants sending us email. Hey, we want to be like featuring a platform and tell them story, you know? I think the first thing artist think is to creating his band before his manager, before everyone else. Because artists, when he think about stage, he think about like, I have a DJ and I have USB and then, okay, play my song. That's not real music, you know? And the first thing when an artist is thinking about, I want to be performed, it's not just like reaching to, like, let's call it like to event to perform. You need to be ready. You need to have like a band with you, at least like a basic thing to be performing live. So that thing can really be prepared ahead of starting kind of like pitching yourself. Because you said, okay, what is the thing that could be nice, like a platform for artists? Any platform has different needs. So artists should be ready to any platform before pitching him or himself.
Yeah, and to build on that, I think it goes back to respecting the art. Respect your craft. You know what I'm saying? You can't go and fight Bruce Lee when you ain't even got a white belt yet. You see what I'm saying? Like, do the open mics and before you go and do a festival, because you're gonna be bad, and you're gonna play yourself. Like, respect it, respect this art form, respect your culture that you're in, and your craft. You know, a mechanic has to learn and go to school before he fixes a car. You know what I mean? It's just common sense, and a lot of people they get too ahead of themselves. And besides open mic, you were asking, right? Besides that, I think you can, it goes back to branding. You can come up with concepts. So like, for instance, in New York, you have subway performers, you have street performers. I know in Dubai, you probably can't do that because that's not accessible. But come up with some kind. I'll give you an example. There was this guy in Belgium who would film artists freestyle from the bottom of an escalator to the top of the escalator. That was it. That was it. And, you know, you could come up with concepts and different campaigns that showcase your live ability, and in turn you're practicing. In turn you're training yourself, you know, and if people could tell if it's a one-take performance, you could do it and figure it out. That's the beauty of this, you know, the creativity of it, where you could figure out the nooks and crannies and just get it cracking.
James, Robyn, any insights?
I would say this, like, I think, to piggyback what all of you have said prior to me, I think that audience feels that energy. Like you said, you know if somebody's prepared, or they're up there for the passion, or the audience feels that. Or we know if somebody's just up there for a payday, or they're up there just to be there and they're not really feeling that live performance. And that translates. I think nothing beats like word of mouth promoting and marketing. Like, if people are talking about you, oh, this person is amazing live, that cuts through any social media, that cuts through any marketing you can do. People gossiping and talking about how great you are as a live performer.
Once again, these guys just nailed it. I love actually how you've kind of gone back to basics. I think people forget about, as I touched on before, just being individual and being you, and that will shine. If you're focusing on your current skill sets or concepts or whatever it is that you're doing that is true to yourself, it's going to outshine anything that's on social media, anything that's trending, because social media is very timely. People forget, if all the accounts got deleted today, who are you? And if they are deleted, you can go back on and be whoever you want. It's all about perception. So I think people are just focused completely on the wrong thing, and it is going back to basics. And I love how everyone here is just being real, just be human.
I think there is also other point just to highlight it, because everybody watching us want to really find solution, not just the problem. Because in the end of the day, yes, there is a lot of problem we need to fix, but there is some solution, right? So there is something called Google. Everyone can start Googling things. So you can really read a lot of biography of any artist. I think the first thing can be done, which is very simple. There is a lot of artists when they start, or most of the artists starting on school tour or university tours. There's a lot of school, there is a lot of like university. So we can start just like collaborating with this audience. Let's say, for example, having like 50 schools, that's more enough to start with. So you have like a real audience, and that real audience can be kind of like something like a platform. I've been performing in 50 schools. I can listen to your story. There's something loud, you know? So there is a lot of options. I think start Googling and starting understanding how artists make their own careers.
So I think we thoroughly covered upcoming artists. I'd like to actually shift the perspective towards new and upcoming entrepreneurs in the music industry, or any industry really. Do you guys have any tips for? So for example, artists have open mics and live events for them to actually grow themselves. What about entrepreneurs? Do you guys have any tips for them?
Be prepared to make a lot of mistakes and lose money before anything else happens.
Yes, I think as an entrepreneur, yes, you are talking about entrepreneurs who want to work with artists, right? Not as artists.
Yeah, in the music industry, whatever idea they could be covering.
So I think when we're talking about an entrepreneur that he want to really focus on to work in the music industry, there is something missing, which is the artist really serious about his careers, or just do it when I have time? Because I usually hear so much the word, I'm busy, I don't have time, you know? So I think music beyond as an entrepreneur require the artist that really dedicated for that thing, because it's more as a process to help the artist to take it to the next stage. Let's say, for example, artists need to kind of starting touring, because as you said, now we are talking about artists have already audience, has performed, so he kind of like need to move to the next stage, right? So there is a lot of process need to be done, prepare trainings, like rehearsing with the band before going to tour, you know? And that thing required so much dedication and focus. So it's not just shortcut. So I think beyond we are talking as an entrepreneur who want to really pushing artists, I think we need more of artists that are prepared for that stage. Because there is no time that you are starting putting effort and investing, and then at the end of the day, oh, I'm leaving the country. That's a bad news. So we want to really like to have more onto like serious artists.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, just piggybacking off that, absolutely. It's the whole concept of being busy. So if anyone tells me I'm busy in any aspect of life, I'm like, oh, okay, so it's not your priority. So it's about shifting your priorities. You need to make it your priority. So if it's not your priority, you're either not ready. So wait until you're ready. Don't rush into something that you're not ready for. And then also, yeah, be willing to know that it is up and down, but don't be scared. One of the sayings that I've always lived by is feel the fear and do it anyway. I mean, like, what are you really scared of? What's the worst case? You know, you've got your health, you've got people around you that will support you, you have your talent, you know what you're capable of. So just believe in yourself a little bit more, and just know that you can catch yourself. And then, yeah, make it a priority and keep it a priority.
James, any insights?
I would say the first thing you need to do is sit back and see what your strengths are and your personal passions, because it could be something you see missing within the industry, but if it's not a strength or your passion, I don't believe you can be successful. That kind of piggybacks off of people saying they have to prioritize what they want to do and what they don't want to do. If it's not your passion, if it's not your strength, I don't believe you can be successful in it anyway. So find out what your strengths and what your passions are and where that could fit within the music industry, and go 110%. That's what I would say.
Thank you, guys.
And one last advice, don't throw AP, don't throw album. Work in a song. We see a lot of artists just starting and then throwing a full AP, throw like a full album, and just like having 100 people like listen to his music. It's like kind of a huge misunderstanding of music, because if imagine that the entire EP or album you're making 1 or 2 songs, and that 2 songs getting the right time to be reached to, let's call it like 20, 50,000 people is more than enough just throwing an entire album where people doesn't know that you are making music.
Takes a lot of effort.
Of course.
When you can focus actually on just one song and make it more
Yes,
successful.
because you cannot start with the album. It's just like we never hear that you have music before. Like sometimes you see a friend of you just dropping an AP. I said, did you do music? I never hear about this. It's kind of like misunderstanding music, right? So it should be more serious, because if you want to really be an artist, we need also to take care of the existing artists that are putting a lot of hard work, and we don't categorize everyone as an artist. So it's really high position.
So I'm sitting here with industry experts, and I'm going to ask the question that I'm pretty sure is on everyone's mind right now. What is your golden tip in terms of marketing and branding? Starting off with you, James.
My number one tip would be don't be afraid to fail. You have to use those as learning experiences and grow from them, because I'm pretty sure all of us are successful in our own right up here, but if you've had any success, you've probably failed 10 times before you've had success one time. So just remember that and just keep moving forward.
Robyn?
My main marketing tip, this is a bit tricky, there's a lot out there, but I would definitely reiterate what I said earlier, is go through self-discovery. Really understand what is unique to you and what it is that you can give out to the rest of the world or your audience or whatever it is. And believe in yourself, face that fear and just do it, take that plunge, because you honestly, you have nothing to lose.
Saber?
I think the advice I give to any artist that really want to make a career in music, being constant. Because if you want to do anything, you have to be serious about it, So every day you need to think about what I'm going to be putting my audience. Because if you disrespect your fan, it's done for you. There is no music. And it's not like, hey, I have my music video today, I'm going to see you after 6 months. So I think the first thing is constant, making music. Second tip, working with people in the industry. No one can do it alone. You have to work with other artists, you have to work with other music producer, you have to reach out to anyone in the industry, and that things can be really more rich in music, because music nowadays is so rich that you can just reach out to someone in the end of the world by email and get that track, music, that is really something can be a boom music. So it's not only just having that kind of limited view on your own geographic location. Music nowadays is so international. Reach out, be constant, prepare your content, not just only music. You need to also, because an artist is like storytelling, right? So if you want to use social media and you want to really grow your audience, you need to be a storytelling beyond just only making music. This is social media tip. So I think be constant.
Mazzi?
In a nutshell, I would just say listen, learn, adjust, evolve. And less is more, so that's why I'm going to start with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, just one more thing. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think there's a little bit of arrogance in the industry.
The worst they could say is no, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, ask for it. Put down whatever it is, your fear again, or you're worried about, the rejection. So ask for help. I mean, there's nothing wrong with asking for help.
Yo, shout out to the 4 different accents on this panel. You know what I'm saying?
We've got it all around the globe right here. So,
one more point, I forget it. Ask for the opinion of the fans. It's not only the artist, he knows everything in music. Very, very important. When you make music, listen to the feedback. Because that's the way how you cultivate your music and make it better and better every time. Because if you're just only dropping music one way, but you don't listen to your audience, that's like a big mistake. And everyone learning from mistake. Have a mentor, ask questions. Anyone, you can reach to anyone, how you do it, or ask tips, not just, I need an investment, I need money. There is a lot of things can help you. Read the books. So there is a lot of things can be done.
So I think this is another way of rephrasing the same past question, but as you mentioned, Robyn, there are a lot of points and golden tips out there in the world. But what do you think is a final key takeaway for all our viewers out there?
I definitely think that consistency is a massive takeaway. You just have to keep going. The minute you stop, your competition will come out and outshine you. or whatever you perceive as your competition. So be consistent, be true to yourself, and continue to tell the story. It is definitely all about storytelling. There's a narrative that you want to portray to the world, whether you do that through expression, music, movement, whatever it is. So be consistent in the narrative that you want the rest of the world to know.
James?
My key word will be, and it kind of piggybacks off of consistency, is be persistent. Where one person might say no, you might have to find another avenue to get to where you're trying to go. So I would say stay persistent, stay hungry, and don't give up on your dream.
Saber? Mazzi?
I mean, everybody said the word consistent, so I'm going to stay consistent with that word consistent. You know what I mean? But also, you could be consistent, like, you could be consistent with and make the same mistakes. So it's like, understand and be a student and, consistently evolve and change up the game plan if you have to. But consistency is such key. And patience is a fiber within that. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, I agree with you guys.
I think everyone really highlight consistent lists, talking about something else, helping with consistent, which is like evaluating music. I think the best advice I give for artists, evaluating your music. Don't think just like when you are doing open act or just like add you on the list, that's like a music thing. Because I see there is a big problem of understanding this, that a lot of artists waiting for the event occasion. Oh, there is 2-3 events per year, I'm gonna be part of that event, or there is like open store. So there is a lot of things. I really think the best advice I give for artists, hunt for the stage. There is nothing beyond that stage. Everything else competing for that seat. Social media, everyone competing for this. But stage, that's where you have to compete, because the day you go on stage, you will never be offline again. Always be on stage, hunt for the mic. Small audiences will be helped. Don't go for just, I need big audience, I need big stage. Start from small stage, and slowly people will come to listen to you live. Even in this space, you can do a concert for just 50 people. I think that's the right thing for artists.
One last thing. I don't want to show my age, but Melly Mel said this years ago. He said, this is my job. You understand what I'm saying? I'm an MC. This is my job. So artists, yes, you have to get up 8 in the morning, go to that radio interview while you were in the studio till 6 in the morning, and then did a bunch of other stuff in between that. Like, I don't care if you deliver pizza and then you go and sing or rap. That's also your job. You have to look at it as a job. And when you're at a job, you do everything you need to do to accelerate. So it goes back to you saying, looking at it as a hobby. No, I don't care what you do on your 9 to 5. When you're doing that, your art, look at it as your job. And if you have that perception, it might prompt you to work harder and be more motivated.
Since we are an Emirate Music Summit, let's start challenge, because I want just to tell a story. It happened like in another major music summit, which is like one of the panelists just give his email to the audience and said, if anyone want to help, please reach out to me, and at the end of the day, he received 0 email. This is true. So we want to do today, here the panelist expert in different vertical. If you want to really help, reach out to us. We're going to share our email. You'll find it in the information in the video, and ask for help. Ask for tip. It can be just something that you want to understand what you are doing in music. We are here to help. So it's not something that you're going to figure out by yourself and guessing. You need to reach out. You need to ask for help.
So a key takeaway from a person who's not from the music industry is consistency, and shifting your priorities towards what matters. If your goal is to be in the music industry and that's what's really important to you, then shift your priority towards that and work your hardest. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much for having me here, James, Robyn, Saber, Mazzi. It's a great pleasure to have you guys here. Thank you guys. That's the end of our panel, and have a nice day and tune in on our next panel.